So
Why
with
don't you want to
it,
say this on the show?
well, I'm recording it now, so it'll be on the show. Oh, I'll say, all right, go ahead. Do 3, 2, 1, go. I'll put it on the show.
I think that's great.
All right, dude. It was anyway. I'll save it for the show. It was awesome.
Save it for the
Go.
shit. All right,
Go.
3, 2, 1. Get with the programming. I'm Chase Singer.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grundler.
Wolverine.
And this is our Analyzing the Programming series of the 2017 regionals. I forgot about this one, Bill. The year of no barbell.
No, I went through one event and I was like, oh yeah, it's that one.
There was
that one.
There's a lot to dig into this year. So
oh man,
I'm excited to get into that. But gosh, I feel like life is getting in between some of our episodes, which I am not liking. I had a stomach flu yesterday, and I've been oddly sick on and off for like 2 weeks. And I don't know if it's because my kids are in daycare and they just like bring that shit home with them. Possibly, but we've experienced life in a few different ways. And you were just telling me before we started, I was like, save it. But you had a fun little daddy-daughter. You go through it. Because like you started telling, I was like, no, let's save it for the podcast, because what Jolie, just the fact that she even like made this idea up is fascinating to me. So please share us the story with you and Jolie.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was waiting for a little connection thing here. All right, so my kid's 6. My youngest daughter is 6 years old, and she plays this game on her iPad called Roblox, and it's this kind of like Minecrafty kind of game, whatever. It's not about the game thing, but she watches this particular girl, this YouTube girl, play it also, and like she's playing the game and she's talking about it, and she's kind of this quirky kind of character. And what's funny is like this girl, and you know, some of you guys may know like Twitch and stuff like that, where that's the whole thing. You watch people play the games, which I never really understood. I didn't get that. Like, why don't you want to play the game? It seems like you want to play the game.
Right.
But whatever. Like, people watch it and then they go back and they play, and that's what she does. She's like, oh, I remember this one game and she was doing this and whatever. But this character that she watches, this YouTuber, is named Quiet Unicorn. How the name came up, I have no idea. Whichever.
Name up these days.
I mean, who knows? You know, like whatever, Grundlerine, whatever. Okay, so whatever.
What are we talking about here?
But so
back in my bag.
Yeah. So she watches her play the games, but then this Quiet Unicorn also does like YouTube shows, or she'll do like little stop animation things. So she does all kinds of just weird things on YouTube.
How old is this?
I'd say she's probably like in her mid 20s.
Okay.
Late 20s, maybe. Okay. It's hard to tell.
Young.
So yeah, totally. So my daughter yesterday was like, hey, I saw this challenge that people, and we have done this, like it's called the 3 marker challenge. And what you do is you compete against whoever you're with, and you have a coloring book or a coloring paper, and you have all of your colors, and all you get to do is you have to randomly pick, eyes covered, the whole thing, pick out 3 colors. And then you have to color that picture. Colors. That's all of them.
Okay.
So you got to make your picture look right with these 3 colors.
Okay.
Which is hard in itself, especially if you get like some really messed up colors, you're going to be screwed.
Gosh, what do you got? Like brown, tan, and dark.
Oh,
brown.
I did. So anyway, she's like, so we were doing that. We were doing it like with like SpongeBob. Like we printed some stuff off the computer, and we were doing SpongeBob. So again, like, what are you going to do with brown, and orange?
Is it the same picture?
So we would do the same picture. So we'd be doing them side by side to see who kind of like wins or whatever. So anyway, she goes, Dad, I want to do a YouTube channel.
YouTube channel.
And I was like, you're 6. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we talking about here? She's like, no, I totally want to do it. I just think it'd be really fun. And I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, we'll record some stuff, whatever. whatever, we can do that. Whether it goes anywhere, we ever put it on YouTube or anything like that's a whole nother deal. But she was fired up about it, even to the point where she wanted to practice how we would do the intro. So here you are, like, okay, Bill, you ready? 3, 2, 1, and then you say go. That's what she did. Okay, so she's like, we're gonna practice how we're gonna say hello at the same time. So here we go. It's gonna be like this: 3, 2, 1, and then we'd say it. And so we practiced that like twice, which is hysterical.
Yeah.
We got all of our papers, we got everything together, and I'm like, okay, I'll video us, and then we'll just kind of do whatever. And literally within 3 seconds of her starting, she took the camera from me and started talking to all of her YouTubers out there in YouTube land, and was like, okay, guys, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this, and this is what it's going to be. And so here's what my dad did. But and he really didn't do a very good job on these things over here. But, if you look over here at mine, you can see that I did the blah, blah, blah. And dude went off. I could not believe. Like, I sat there for an hour. We had an hour's worth of stuff that she was recording, us coloring the pictures. And then she got all excited because she's like, we had to break because we went to, like, when we were coloring, I went to like the time lapse, so it was a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
And in between that, she's like, oh, I need to tell them to make sure that they comment in the comment below, and how we're gonna do that, and gotta like and subscribe. And so there's one time she's like, so in the comments below, if you like mine, she was wearing a shirt that had on those shirts that kids are wearing now that's got the little sequins that, like, you brush them one way, they're one color, and you brush them the other way, it's another color.
Yeah.
So she had one of those, and it had like a cherry on it. So she's like, if you like mine, comment below with the cherry. And if you like my dad's, which you probably won't, you can comment with the little flame emoji because of the Inferno thing, And so she put that in the comments. So she was saying that. And then she's like,
you made that idea up? Like the cherry and the flame? That was her idea?
Oh, that was hers, man. That was her whole thing. That was her whole thing. Then she's like, and make sure you subscribe by hit that subscribe bell. Got to hit that bell. Then she goes, I mean, I'm kind of new to this whole YouTube thing, so I don't even know what the bell looks like, but I know that it's there because every one other YouTuber says it. So make sure you hit the bell and subscribe so you know we put new channels up here. And hey, if you want me to do another show with this picture, and she puts up another one, and then she's like, we can do this. So make sure you put a clover emoji in the comments, and I'll make sure to make another one. And I was like, I was so blown away by how fired up she was on this, and like completely was not nervous. Like, she was more nervous to start, and then the second we were on, she's like, she was all about it. So I got to do a little bit of editing and playing with that. But it was funny because I've seen these other kids doing stuff on there, and I'm in the background thinking, God, their parents are bummed because they must have to do so much editing work for what these kids doing. And I guess what I'm doing now, I'm going to be doing some editing now.
Dad.
But it was so fun, man.
Cool.
I mean, who knows if it'll get on, if we put it on YouTube. I mean, it's kind of nerve wracking to want to put a 6-year-old kid online. I don't want anything like that. But for her, I think it was.
I mean, she wants to do it, right? Like, this was her idea out of the.
Oh, it was her idea. Totally her. I would never say, hey, kid, you should make a YouTube channel.
Hey,
so.
I'll say this. I think that's amazing. Creativity from that blows my mind. And, how many of these like little kids that just had this idea that's turned into something wild and crazy?
I'm sure with your age, the whole Ryan's review, Ryan's toy.
Ryan's mystery play date.
Dude, that whole thing, that kid has turned into like a massive product.
And all he did was open toys as like a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
YouTube. That's how he was. Hey, 3 Marker Joe.
Yeah.
It's
so funny.
Joe.
So funny.
That's awesome. I love it. And
so it was fun.
And you could do a challenge with a new guest.
Yeah. And then I was like, I go, you know what? We could probably get Uncle James to do a little theme music for you. And she goes,
theme music?
She didn't even really get it at that point. She was like, oh, okay. I'm like, what? That was the coolest idea of all time. Like, it would be so great. I'm like, all right. Okay, Dad. Cool your jets there, Dad. Cool your jets.
I love it.
It was fun. It was super fun.
I get to come visit you and Joe's around, I expect to be a special guest.
Oh, hell yeah.
On the 3 Marker Joe show. Cool. Gosh, one thing I love watching my son do, and my daughter's not quite there yet, but Dylan's 3.5, is he's starting to play with like things and just make up scenarios with like toys or whatever. And he just like has conversations with himself, and watching that creativity blossom is one of the coolest things to just witness live.
Dude, being an older person now, it is tragic, I think, watching how kids, when you're a kid and there are no limits to what your thought process is going to be. Like nothing has to be fit into about. When you get older, you realize that like, oh, that's not going to work. Oh, that idea is not going to work. Oh, that would never happen because of these things. When you're a kid, those don't exist. And so like, it's truly limitless of whatever it is that you want to do. Mm-hmm. And you're right. That is a very, like, I have to admit, I get jealous of watching kids do that, because it's like, I mean, talk about how freeing is that? There is no limits to what you can want to think about or do or come up with or whatever. And you could make the squarest peg be the most perfect pyramid of all time, because you're like, in my brain, it's pyramid. Yeah. You're like, okay. And to them, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, like Dylan will just draw a bunch of like circles on a piece of paper. I'm like, what is that? He's like, it's a Tyrannosaurus Rex, Dad. I'm like, damn right it is. Best damn T-Rex I've ever seen in my life. What color is it? He's like, Rosado. What does that mean? He goes, oh, it's pink. I was like, dang it. I need a
That's awesome. That is cool though. It's fun.
That's really neat. That's really cool. I like that. I like that a lot. So fun. Dude, hey, foster that.
No, totally. I mean, we're having a blast with it. We're having a good time for sure.
Yeah, whether you actually, I don't know, man. I now want to watch it. So we'll make that like a Programmatron exclusive.
Sorry, you got to pay $6 to see my daughter. Sorry, that's just how it works.
Oh man, that's really cool. Very cool. See, life stuff. It's neat. Not as cool as my life stuff. I feel like I've been getting sick every 2 weeks, so that's about the extent.
Yeah, dude. It's like you get the COVID cold, you get the COVID stomach flu, you get the COVIDies, the sniffles, the COVIDals.
For the record, it's been 0 actual COVID. We're just joking that it's.
What are you talking about, dude? There's no such thing as any other sickness but COVID. That's the only thing there is. Only.
I got a stomach virus like 24 hours yesterday.
COVID.
My sons had these weird cough things on and
COVID.
off. Yeah. And then it's like, and then we were joking earlier. It's like, and then my back hurts. So
I pulled my COVID. Oh, I was doing deadlifts. I pulled my COVID.
So, all right. Well, we are here to talk about the 2017 regionals. But before we get that, we want to thank our partner of the show, Bubs Naturals. Getting some people's posts. It's a PSL season, Bill.
I know
what PSL season is.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan.
Pumpkin spice latte season.
Yeah, whatever.
Fun fact, never had one. Ever.
I've had one. And that was because my firefighter at the time, that was his big thing. He's like, Cap, you got to have one of these. And I'm like, okay, cool. I took one sip and I'm like I think I got like 4 cavities just on that one sip of that thing. Like, are you kidding me right now? What are you talking about? Where's my coffee and heavy cream?
Oh, yes. The old pumpkin spice latte season. So if you're into that, if you want to get basic for the fall, at least get Bubs to make that a bit creamier in your coffee, whether it is the PSL or it's just regular black coffee like me and Bill like to enjoy. But we don't enjoy it without our Bubs MCT oil powder and collagen protein, and put a little apple cider vinegar gummies on the side. And it's just the best way to start your day. I mean, there's nothing better. There really isn't.
I'll say this. I had to reorder a new one of the frothers.
Oh,
one of the hand blenders.
Did your hand blender die?
Didn't die. It got bent. And so it was like,
when that thing bends.
I know. And it's crazy because like, for whatever reason, like I've had like, multiple different ones of those. And I don't know where they get. I don't know what Alibaba store or Amazon Prime or whatever thing, wherever they get their hand blenders from,
duty free.
It's the top end stock because it is by far the best one. And I hit him up the other day and I'm like, you guys, can I please get a blender? Because I can't use this other one anymore. I just can't do it.
And the fork ain't cutting it.
No, man, it's just not. But yeah, you gotta use that to froth it up and make that sweet blend.
Yes,
sweet blend.
Make sure you use the code GET WIT20 for 20% off every order every single time, and know that you're doing yourself a favor by getting Bubs into your morning routine. But you're doing everyone else a favor because 10% of all proceeds from Bubs Naturals, they donate directly to charity. So it's good all around, both ways. And we want to thank Element 26, our partners of the show, with our thumb tape reviews, as we do a 2 thumb up, or anywhere in between 0 to 2, we'll say, a review of the programming each and every year. But we also use it for our thumbs. It's one of the best thumb tapes on the market. It's easy to apply. It's easy to take off. Yet it sticks to your thumb the entire time and gives you full function and movement with that, as well as one thing that they just finally got back in stock is their new Rip Repair.
Oh, yeah.
If you happen not to wear their amazing grips that are basically cheat codes on the pull-up rig, and you get a little tear, they have a Rip Repair that will seal that rip perfectly for 2 to 5 days without the sting that you would get from normal things like new skin.
I haven't used it. Have you used that?
Yeah, I use it. In fact, Bill, I'm sending you a care package.
Oh,
and it may have one of those in there for you.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. So well, give me a little, like, so you've torn. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you do is, like, okay, you get a rip, you tear your hands, you got to clean it. Right. And so part of the sting that they don't have in there is they remove the alcohol that's in there. So you got to clean your rip completely, soap and water. And then they have an applicator. So they have the fluid, right? If you've ever used any type of, it's almost like, not nail polish. That's not the right word, but like
that won't sting.
You have a little applicator and they have like 20 of them in there. So it's a one-off.
Oh, okay.
Dip the end in there. It's almost like a tiny little like sponge brush. And then you just put that in your wound and it takes 60 seconds to dry. And when it dries, it's there. It ain't coming off. It's not.
Does it feel like you have like a rock on your hand when you go to do anything?
Nope. You don't need to feel it. It's just like having it's like getting your callus back.
Wow.
Yeah. And it covers the rip. It keeps your hands okay. And then it heals things from underneath on the way up, and you're on with your day the rest of the way. So
that's amazing. That's amazing.
It's pretty awesome. So if you guys want to get on that, if you want to get the thumb tape and the Rip Repair and anything else for your CrossFit accessory needs, thumb tape, grips, belts, knee sleeves, go to element26.co and use the code GETWIT15 for 15% off all orders in the United States. And as we look towards, I guess, Wadapalooza,
yeah,
their qualifier sign up is now.
Actually, I think they had to have turned in all the videos today because they extended them out. Yeah.
Okay, so the due date for all your videos is now.
Yeah.
And to prove that you did all the work that you did, there are a lot of apps out there, but nothing better than the Wattproof app.
Yeah, I'm so happy that I'm seeing a lot of people that I work with, a lot of people that are posting however they're doing on the Wadapalooza online qualifier. You see them on their Instagrams or whatever, and you can see that they're using the app. So a lot of people are using the app, which is amazing. The app itself is exactly what it is. It's a great app. It's got the timers. It's got the cool little logo for whatever the competition. So if you actually run a certain competition, you can always get your logo put down at the bottom so you can tell if it's Wadapalooza or whatever. But that's not the main thing. And they are real fired up about this new rollout that they have that is coming out. They've been hyping it up. If you've watched their trailer videos, I guess, that they've been putting up on their emails, and if you go to their website, their big push that they are trying to do with this new rollout is going to be all about the community. So they want to be able to really combine groups of people, whether it's on a competitive stage, whether it's on a team sort of a stage. I mean, like, they were hitting us saying that, like, hey, maybe some of the events that we put up, that we do for our programmatrons or whatever, is we set up a programmatron community, and then everyone can post the videos that they're doing on that. And so you can actually see, so you can literally have a virtual head-to-head competition, or, you know, a competition between all the people based on just that alone. So they're doing a lot of really good things. And that is one of the things that I think is so exciting about that company. They aren't just about, oh, here's an app to record your stuff. They want to record. They want you to be able to do the stuff that you need to do, but they want you to be able to have a community based to hang out with to do that. But then they also went on their pro pack. They want you to be able to get the best kind of training that's out there. And so they've brought in a bunch of experts, and they have these templated programs on there that if you want to get better at anything within the fitness realm, whether it's CrossFit itself or master stuff like with me, if it's gymnastics, if it's lifting, if it's rowing, if it's your engine, if it's nutrition, whatever it might be, they have a templated program on there for you to check out to learn. And, you know, since we always talk about programming, if you want to become a better programmer, you can you pay your monthly fee, which is $9.99, or if you use our Get With code, you can get a 20% off for a 3-month subscription, which brings it down to like $6 a month or something like that. Negligible. Then you get access of all these other programs to see how these experts program and see, you know, glean some knowledge from them. So whether you're on the coach side or you're on the athlete side, it's the complete package. So if you haven't checked that out, check it out. And again, they have that new rollout coming out. They have a brand new athlete that is going to be teaming up with them, and I still haven't heard who it is yet. It's kind of bugging me out.
I want to know.
They got to say it. They got to tell me. They got to give me the inside scoop. I'm hoping they give me the inside scoop. We'll find out. Anyway, check them out because they are good people and a great product. So check them out.
I love it. I love it. I love all our partners to the show, and we appreciate them very much. And we appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for listening to the show, and we will get to analyzing the programming, the 2017 regionals. We're coming off our first 2 thumbs up Element 26 thumb tape review. That was the 2016 games. And as
no pressure. Jeez.
Yeah, no pressure 2017. But every year we've gone through in regionals, and we've said this before, is we get surprised from the programming because I just haven't thought about it as much as I guess I've ever thought of open and games. And, you know, we have a lot of different reasons for that, but it's exciting to see this. And then when I looked at the first event, and you were saying this too, I was like, oh, this year.
Yeah.
The year where all the strong people got their pitchforks and torches and tried to storm the gates of, you know, Castro Castle. Like, where's our barbell?
Yeah, you
strength tests.
What happened?
It's
and then like, you know, go stepping in this first one. What did we say was missing at the last one? If we were to make any point about the 2016, that it was missing it had a 20-minute, but that was it.
That was
it.
That's so funny. And then
here you go.
The first workout of the 2017 regionals is 4-time 25-minute cap, 1,200 meter run, followed by 12 rounds of 4 strict handstand push-ups, 8 chest to bar pull-ups, and 12 air squats with a 20 and 14-pound vest for the men and the women.
Missing the monostructural. Not this time. I mean, we were trying to add. Remember, we were trying to add like double unders and all that to the Nate, and then here you go. Take some of these.
Up where we left off. In 2016. Now, as far as I would say, viewing this workout or calling this one, not the most glamorous, visually stimulating event, but as far as what this event is, it was great. And the addition of the vest was a neat little wrinkle because this is more reminiscent of, say, like Murph, right?
Totally.
Murph being, especially if you partition it, 20 rounds of Cindy, 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. Here they did 4 strict handstand, so they kind of flipped the numbers as far as small, medium, and long range time or rep schemes. But this was a very mini Murph-like event to start the weekend off.
Well, and it was the first time that we didn't have a big flash and dash explosive.
Oh,
boom, and here we go, and ready, go. And they're running. And they're running in place. And they're running. Still running in place. Still running in place. Then finally they would all get off. And then it was like, okay, it's like pull-ups, you know, or the handstand push-ups, the pull-ups, and the squats. And the first handful of rounds, like honestly, I like what the event is, but it was boring until finally the event took place of what I think the event was supposed to do, which was now you hit failures because it forced everyone to push, and then you had people failing. And it wasn't until that point that it was remotely exciting to watch, that there all of a sudden then there became separation, and the intent at that point of the event finally started to come out. But it took a while. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't a bad event. It took a while to get there.
Yeah.
You know?
And the first, I don't know, 6 rounds was about exciting as an extension of what the first 1,200 meters on the run. Because it was just feels like 4 8 12 4 8 12 4 8 12, move your pylon, 4 8 12, move your pylon, no separation, unbroken, everyone's going fast. And then, as you said, the last 6 rounds is when you start to figure out who had a bad game plan.
Yeah.
And people going to failure on strict handstand push-ups.
That was the hook.
People having to break up chest to bar pull-ups. The squats were the squats, but with a vest, it wasn't as much as you could go faster than everybody on the squats, but it was those people that would do a squat and take like that half breath at the top pause.
Yeah.
And then lose 5 seconds every round.
Yeah.
And then you can't really make those up in the other ones if you don't have the capacity to do those 4 strict handstand push-ups and 8 chest bar pull-ups.
Yeah, it was amazing how hard 48 handstand push-ups got when you were in a vest, being fatigued. And again, like these are all great athletes. You know, the athletes at this point that make it to the regional level are some pretty impressive athletes. And it's just with the vest on, especially that range that you have from I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm not good.
Yeah.
Like it is 1 rep. And you would see that. You'd see all these people are racing. And that's where the race got exciting. You said it was probably like around, you know, that's about right. It was around that halfway point, the 6th round or whatever, where people were deciding to race. And it was the decision to race that pushed you further than you would normally go for the amount of rest that you had for the handstand push-up. Or it's like, okay, I'll try to fly through those, but then I'm going to try to reel back on the squats a little bit so that I can contain myself just enough to rest, to get those bop, 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 try to get through the handstand push-ups fast. Because, I mean, when they go, they go. I mean, at least the other stuff, you can kind of make your way through. The chest to bar, you can keep yourself through that. You can move yourself through the squats, but strict, you can't. Like when they're gone, that is it. There's no way of getting around it. And that is where the field split. And, you know, I wish it didn't have to take on a spectator from a spectator point of view. I wish it didn't have to take that long to get to that point where the race was like, oh man, here we go. Cause there was a lot of gaming up to that point. So
there's some great races.
No, totally. Absolutely.
It took 15, 20 minutes to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, you know, again, I think that coming off of 2016, we needed to have that was what we said, is that there wasn't any real monostructural setup, and this threw that out there. And you know, I can't fault that for what it was. You know, it's not about exciting or not doesn't make it a good test or not. I think it was a good test. Yeah.
And the thing is like, you know, we add some subjectivity to the conversation, but we're not adding subjectivity to the programming. And the way it's programmed, I like this.
Yeah, totally.
This is a good test to start things off because it's so much different than what most people were really training for.
Totally.
Murph, you train for Murph once a year,
right?
Or you know, or you don't train for Murph.
You just do Murph.
Murph,
right?
Once a year, And usually, unless you're training for the CrossFit Games, then you put that vest back in the closet and then
you
blow the dust off every May.
Totally.
And so this was one of those where I would have never, you see an event like that and you're like, damn, I would have never thought of something like that.
Totally. And I like the fact that, I mean, you can't say it's a bad event, because it would be like saying that Murph is a bad event.
Oh,
and
no.
There is no one in our community that would say Murph is a bad event, shouldn't be done.
Someone
I don't even think that they would say it. They would maybe say, I hate it, I don't like to do it, it's too hard, it's too this. But I don't think that someone would say that it's a bad event, or it's a like you can't race it. I don't think that generally speaking, I'm not talking about people that are going to argue just to argue.
Right.
That would be the same thing with this one. So you can't say that this isn't a good event or an appropriate event for the same deal. So
I get that.
It's a good start.
This was one of those events you speak about Murph specifically, is that in 2015 we did Murph. In 2016 we did another version of Murph. And I feel like this is that games version that made it down to regionals. Because if you've been following the programming, is usually they take something from the previous games and bring it into next year's regionals. They did that with Amanda from 2010 to 2011. They did versions of other games events and brought them in. And this is bringing Murph to the regional level aside from doing full blown Murph.
Right. No, I agree. Right.
So we go from that to basically the complete other side of the spectrum of intensity into a 2115. Oh gosh, this thing. Oh man. The 21-15-9 alternating dumbbell snatches, 80 pounds for the men, 55 for the women, and then ring dips. If those that know their history, this is the one that put a big black mark on the programming that season, because everybody, not everybody, all these guys. Did any girls tear their pec?
There may have been a couple strains. There may have been a couple strains on the women's side, but this was predominantly.
This is the year of
your big, strong lifters.
Right. Yes.
I'm out. I got hurt.
We lost a lot of dudes.
A lot.
Not a lot, but relative to what we've seen in any year of the same exact injury of a pec tear or a strain, which is just a tear. It's not a full tear.
And but this was so strange. It's not the first time that we've done this. That number, because we had 50, and we even had that standard with the ribbing, where they would measure you to see where your shoulder blades are.
Yes. So
it's not the first time we've done that. The black mark was that it appeared. I'm not gonna accuse anybody, I guess, because I don't officially know.
Right.
But the testing that was getting done, where people were falling, this event became the, I need to back out, or I'm injured. Oh, we're testing? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to test. What place am I in? Oh, yeah, I think I'm hurt.
Oh.
And backing out of that. There were a lot of people that came out. And I'm not, I'm not saying that people didn't get hurt, but it really seemed like there were a lot of big dudes that would have no problem doing 50 ring dips at speed, pulling that many times, pulling that many pecs, tearing that many pecs.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
And there's people's videos, and I think it's like the pec minors, like that's like the upper top right or top left corner of your pec, which is, that's the smallest muscle, like pec minor in that position. But it was a weird, because you're right, we've done ring dips in, was it 2015?
Yeah, and the chipper. That was the top of that up and down chipper.
It was 50 total. This is 45. Now, we didn't do it at the intensity of which this event
really
dictated, because this was
all out sprint.
Just there was no pacing whatsoever. Like we said, the complete opposite of event 1.
Right.
Right. And the problem is that you look at an event like this coupled against what happened in event 1. And if you just look at what's on paper, you're like, what a great transition from one to the next.
Yeah.
Right. You have this long, high volume body weight plus vest run and gymnastics triplet that took 20 to 25 minutes. And then you have the single dumbbell mixed with the gymnastics movement for 21:15.9. That was at 2 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, the part that took the longest to do was like moving your dumbbell down the competition.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Totally.
But
and I remember, I remember
conversation was just the injuries.
Yeah. And it was like, okay, so everyone's saying that they're hurt. Are they hurt? Are they using it as that's the scapegoat, or are they really getting hurt? And I remember calling the event. I got to do a couple regionals this particular year. And I remember talking about the difference, knowing that we've done them before. Mm-hmm. However, when everyone was doing the 50 on the chipper the year before, or was it the year before? 2 years before?
I think it was 2015.
Okay, 2 years before. People were doing them in sets of 5, maybe sets of 10.
2014.
But anyway, they broke them up.
Yeah.
This one, you're at full speed. And I mean, think about how you do push-ups. If you're going to do push-ups really fast in your gym,
yeah,
the vast majority of people are not going to go to full lockout all the way where they're getting that full range of motion. There's going to be, I mean, you're moving. This was forcing full range of motion. Yes. And so you're getting a lot more of that press up at the top you wouldn't normally do. Yes. And so that's the only thing I think is like, okay, if they're getting injured, it's not because of the bottom. I mean, they're flexing up at the top, so they're trying to reach their shoulder blades back to that strap that they had set there. So you're getting that tension, and then you get down the bottom as you kind of rebound out of the bottom. So there's that stretch at the bottom. But the only thing I can think of is that top element wasn't tested at speed. That I mean, when I'm giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, that's the only thing I could think of. Like, but it's just so weird because still, you take any of these good athletes that are big, strong athletes. This is a body weight movement. What the hell are they all tearing on a body weight movement for? At range of motion or not, for 45 reps. Yeah. And most of them, it didn't happen then. It was after the fact. Everyone made it through. Like, I honestly don't remember anyone stopping mid-event. It was always after or the next day. Yeah. They would say, and I'm out. What place am I in? I'm out. I don't know.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So like it was a very strange thing to try to figure out how and why something like that would affect these badasses so much. Yeah. We'd never seen anything like that.
No, it was so weird. But that was this was one thing that kind of upset Dave, was that all the talk was centered around injuries.
Yeah.
It wasn't the rest of the weekend. It was people complaining that there was no barbell movements and all the pec tears.
Yep.
That was the whole discussion this year. I don't remember anything else of this year other than that. Really. But for what it was, so if we say, we go back to the objective view, 21:15.9, alternating dumbbell snatches, ring dips. You got to pull from floor to overhead. You have a ring dip, which is a vertical press down in a pressing position. The weight's 80 and 55, which again, for me, I was like, why did we change it? Is this a new weight? Now we have to get
you got to buy an 80.
Yeah, right. I got to go buy an 80 and 55. I thought it was a good change of pace, no pun intended, from event 1 to event 2.
I think it's a great event.
Yeah, it is.
You got to pull in, you got to push in. It's a different version of a Fran.
That's right.
I mean, it's
without the squat.
Yeah.
But we just did 144 air squats at the vest. So, we got our squats in.
I mean, on paper, I mean, barring all the other stuff, all the backstory stuff. Like you look at it on paper, it's a great event.
Yes.
It's classic 21-15-9. It's regional-esque with the dumbbell snatches. We've done dumbbell snatches already up to this point. We've done high volume dumbbell snatches. Now it's like, okay, let's bring the weight down a touch and now let's have you go. Let's make you move.
Yes.
And we'll split it up so that it's an intensity driven event, not a stamina driven event. And you go for it. I mean, again, like you take away all of the stuff about the injuries or whatever, and on paper, it is awesome.
I agree. The only thing my brain doesn't like is the fact that we had odd number of snatches on each arm.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny, dude.
Again, that's
my one arm is going to be extra tired going in for the rest of the days than the other arm.
Reps on this side if I always start with the right arm. But you're right. As far as day one, you have the long aerobic endeavor, high volume, monostructural. You have all these bodyweight movements, yet they've turned into, I guess you could say, weightlifting movements. It's an additional weight. They're not weightlifting movements.
Right.
And then you have this sprint. I mean, the time cap's 6 minutes, but this really was 2.
God, they were moving so fast.
There was no other choice. And what this did was it exposed people's ability to sustain that intensity with movements that you can fail. And that's really the ring dips. It had nothing to do with the snatches.
Yeah. Ring dips were normally trained as high volume, not high intensity.
Right. Because even the only one 21-15-9 I know of, well, other than what they did at the games, is Elizabeth.
Right.
Who just cleans at 135 and 95 in ring dips. But if you do it the right way, those are squat cleans.
Right. And you get a lot more rest.
But nobody. Well, here's the thing: is like we had none of those pec tear issues in 2011.
Nope.
And this was the same intensity.
Yep.
With nearly the same movement pattern, right? You have a power clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not overhead, but I'm doing way more early arm pull and throwing my elbows around with a power clean with a 21-15-9 than I am with a dumbbell snatch.
Yeah, it's totally true. Yeah.
So it was just weird. But taking that out of it, I like the event. I like what it was. I thought it was a good compliment to end the day on Friday.
I agree. Boom.
All right, moving on to Saturday, event number 3. Here is our chipper. Man. All right, 100-foot dumbbell overhead walking lunge. 1 dumbbell, the same weight they used yesterday, 80 and 55. 100 double unders, 50 wall ball shots at 30 and 20. And I was like, oh, snap. Heavy wall balls. And then I looked at the target they put on the rogue rig and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, I know.
We got this all fixed last year. And it was 30 and 20-pound ball, which was super fun to watch. But it was a 10-foot target for the men and a 9-foot target for the women. And that's
dumb.
Yeah.
Dumb.
15-foot rope climbs for 10 reps, and then you work your way back. 50 wall ball shots, 100 double unders, 100-foot walking lunge with that dumbbell overhead. And for me, I thought this was a really cool chipper. It looked cool visually with the marches down, the double unders. You work your way to the wall ball shots, the rope climbs. You know, they took their time, but they had those little markers on the side of the rig so you could at least kind of see where people were at. They use those hybrid ropes.
Yeah, I liked that piece. Yeah.
Saw some really cool techniques that for like Brent Fikowski and I think Catch and David's daughter both used with like this leg wrap squeeze thing.
Oh man. Cool. There were all kind of kegels going on during that event. Everybody was squeezing their legs on that.
You did see people get exposed with that heavier wall ball, regardless of the target height.
Yeah.
And then the double unders and the 100-foot overhead walking lunge. I thought there were some great races. You have, let's see, the odd object lunge, the double under, the heavy wall ball shot. There's just a lot of great different pieces with this. Unlike some chippers we've seen in the past, the numbers work well, at least on paper. That's just more, again, that's a subjectivity thing. But I loved this chipper.
You know what I thought was interesting was that they didn't denote where the dumbbell or what arm you had to have being used for the dumbbell.
Yes.
You could do it as long as if you were going to switch for whatever reason, you had to make sure you had to stop. So you couldn't have any advancement while you were making the switch. But I thought that was interesting because it allowed the athlete a little bit of wiggle room to work within their skill set. So if you had a shoulder that was a little wonky or something was going on with the snatch, or there was, you have one dominant arm or whatever, you could now all of a sudden let that weakness hide while you use your stronger arm as you just kind of go. You could have done this all on one arm if you wanted, which I thought was kind of interesting. They didn't make you switch it up, which, I mean, whatever. I'm not good or bad. Just interesting saying that. But you're right. I like the chipper wasn't super long, but it had a good pace to it.
Yeah, like when you say it all out loud, it sounds like it's forever. But the time cap was 16 minutes.
16 minutes. Like, that's really not that long,
Usually our chippers are what, 20 plus?
Yeah.
That's what we've had in the past.
Yeah. So I like how the setup was. I like the 30-pound and the 20-pound wall balls. I thought that was good. I was shocked, honestly, at this time that there were still athletes that weren't using those on a regular basis, because you could tell who weren't.
Right.
I mean, it was like, you're what are you doing out there, man? Like, you're jumping you're on 2. What are you jumping already for? But I thought the interesting point on this one was those rope climbs.
Yes.
Because you can say, I mean, I love the fact that they go, oh yeah, they're rope climbs. And it's like, we just say legless. Say legless. I mean, or what do you want to call them? Crotchful rope climbs, because you're going to squeeze with your leg, with your crotch the whole time. But I really liked what that was. And it was interesting. I think it was a great evolution for rope climbs at the regional level to see where people were. We've done regular rope climbs. We've done legless rope climbs. We've done, decent volume rope climbs. And then this was, okay, now we'll put that hybrid in there. So yeah, you can go a little faster than just straight legless, but you have to think about it. And the, like, 10, man, like, that number is no joke in the middle.
Especially because you do have to do 3 or 4 legless pulls.
Yeah.
Even get yourself high enough to utilize the rope length.
Yeah. So it's a great, I think this was, I mean, if you look at all the different types of chippers, it is a very clean chipper.
Yes. Yeah.
It doesn't look like you're trying to dump a bunch of shit in there. It's very clean, very efficient, does the job what it needs to do. And it's a good one. It's a really good one.
Not over programmed with volume.
No, not at all.
We had that in the past. We had that with the second hundreds workout from 2013.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty high volume, difficult one that they had thrown.
Yeah.
Well, mainly with the dumbbell snatches at the time, right? That's 2013. That chipper that they had in the end of 2012.
Yep.
The final event. They had a great chipper in 2013 as well. There's 2 of them in that one. This wasn't kitchen sinky.
No.
Gosh,
very clean
Lunge,
pyramid.
HD sit up, summative high pull chipper. That one was a mess. the 50s one they had, right? There's the row, box jump over, deadlift, wall.
Yeah.
50s one. Like, that one was just super high volume that nobody finished.
Yeah.
Last year's one was great. That was the handstand walk one, and that was never repeating any movement aside for the overhead squats at the tail end in the beginning. But you're right. This was great. It wasn't excessively long. It wasn't excessively high volume. It's clean. And for this one is that if you look at the first 2 events, because we have yet to use something heavy,
right,
and it's all been bodyweight movements aside from one dumbbell snatch,
right,
that usually plays to the favor of the smaller gymnastic dominant athlete. This chipper is the complete antithesis. There it is.
Yeah.
Of the first 2, because if you were one of those smaller, lighter athletes, this event was not built for you.
No.
Lunging with that dumbbell as far as leg length and stride. Double unders are double unders, but heavy wall ball shots to a high target, 10, 15 foot rope climbs. This was a chipper for big, strong guys if you had the conditioning.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, let's say everyone's conditioning is equal.
Right.
So if you look at that, the person that's going to have the advantage in this one is going to be your taller athlete.
Right.
Because you're going to be able to jump higher for the rope. You're going to be able to put the ball up higher for the wall balls. You're going to be able to step longer for the lunge.
Yeah.
So you have an advantage. So it does indirectly. And it was so funny how so many people, the barbell heads, didn't see that this was made for your bigger athletes, not necessarily your quote unquote stronger athletes, but your bigger athletes. And you usually, I mean, I would say generally speaking, you don't have just a wall ball rowing event for the tall guys in regionals. You just don't normally have it set up that way. You'll see that in like open, but you usually don't see that in the regional level. So it was interesting that this really played to that. And then the races were good too.
Yeah, and I like
really set up some good
is like
races.
if all things were equal as far as your fitness level,
right?
Which at regionals it should be,
are pretty dang close. Yeah,
are pretty close.
Yeah.
And listen, it's okay to say this is this workout could be advantageous to this sized individual.
Totally.
And what I like here is that this is a very high volume workout, so it didn't favor the stronger guys, but if the stronger guys or the bigger athletes, guys or girls, had their work capacity dialed in, then they would excel in this one versus the lighter body weight.
They have a higher chance of excelling. Yeah.
But in the first event, though it was running and all three gymnastics movements, the weight vest offset that advantage for them. So there was still there was a, yes, if you're this athlete with this fitness level, you can take advantage of this. Same thing for event 1. And then event 2, I think there's right in between. Heavy dumbbell snatches, the big boys and girls just fly through that. Whereas on the ring dips, it's only 21:59. So it's not like you're at a major disadvantage with the range of motion, because it's not that much different of range of motion when you're talking about a ring dip.
Right.
We're talking about inches here.
Yeah, so the difference there is it's not the distance, not the range of motion, it's the weight that you're moving. I mean, I've seen some big, strong NFL guys that can power clean and out power clean the vast majority of CrossFitters, but you get them on the wall to do handstand push-ups and they can do 3.
Yeah, right.
It's not because they're not strong. They are strong. They're just heavy. They're heavy dudes, and that's a lot of weight that they're trying to move at this one time. So, you can't... You can't say it's the strong guys event, but it's the bigger athletes event. They have an advantage. Yeah. Not that they're going to win, but they have something that's playing to their favor, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. And I, so far after 3 events, having not seen this since 2017, I'm like, oh, there is a little pattern here.
Yep.
Yes. The smaller, fitter demographic has an opportunity to do better here.
Yeah.
At 1. In event 2, this is right down the middle for both.
I think so. Yeah.
You can tap and go if you're just a weight slinging freak on the dumbbell at the same faster tempo than maybe you would on the ring dips. And then it flip-flops back and forth. And on this one, if you're the bigger, fitter, stronger athlete, you have an opportunity to be better here. Yeah. So what I've seen so far is an even split across the board about different fitness levels and skill sets and strengths.
So far, so good.
Even though we don't have a 1 rep max event, but we also don't have a strict body weight one either because of the weight vest. I like it.
So far, so good.
All right. Saturday afternoon. I love this event. And there's deadlifts in here.
I know.
All right. So the way it reads is a 60-foot handstand walk, 10 toes to bar, 10 kettlebell deadlifts, 150 in each arm for the men, 106 for the women. And then you have 60-foot handstand walk, 12-12, 60-foot, 14-14, 60-foot, 16-16. So the reps are going up from 10, 12, 14, 16. What's the math there? 30, 22, 52?
Yeah.
52 total toes to bar, 52 total heavy kettlebell deadlifts. Now, not as heavy as they've had at previous games, which was 204 and 150 per.
But that is the games.
but it's not light. I mean, and then 240 feet, which is 120 down, 120 back. That's a pretty standard distance that they've had in years past. 2 or 3 times. I say 2 times. So none of this is foreign, but it's all different. We haven't had an ascending rep scheme event, I think, ever at regionals up to this point. I don't remember one.
I don't think so.
And if you've never done this, again, this is one of those, because everybody goes the other way.
Yeah.
We'll go 16 down to 10, not 10 up to 16. And this is another one of those events like, hey, yeah, I know you know how to deadlift, but how about some kettlebells this time? We're going to throw in some toes to bar and handstand walks to make those kettlebells even less fun because of your posterior midline and your interior midline with the toes to bar and the handstand walks.
Yeah, I was just going to say what midline. Like,
right,
it's
exactly.
Gone. It's gone after this.
And it was,
gone.
I don't know if it was one of those where it was almost whatever your weakness was, that's what the other 2 movements did to it. So like say your handstand walks weren't great. Well, the toes to bar and kettlebell deadlifts are going to make that so much harder. Or your toes to bar are bad. Well, the handstand walk sitting in an overextended position and the kettlebell deadlifts with your grip are going to make you worse at toes to bar.
Yeah.
And vice versa with the handstand walks and toes to bar for your kettlebell deadlifts. I thought there was a lot of different ways to test athletes in this event, along with the time domain, which the time cap, I think this is another one of those where the time cap dictated the intensity of the event.
Without a doubt. Yeah. And you talk about, not having a barbell. Okay. So we're moving for the men, 300 pounds on the deadlift for 52 reps at speed under fatigue of other movements. I mean, 52 toes to bar is not a big deal. For these guys, it should not be a big deal, but it's the cumulative effect of the toes to bar and the deadlifts. I mean, it's the handstand walk. Not that you feel the handstand walk on the toes to bar, but the toes to bar on the hand and the deadlift definitely affect. I mean, dude, the scorpions that were going on up and down the lane on this one were out of control because everyone's midlines were just shot. It was. I will say this: the
bottom of my shoes.
Oh my gosh, the created balance by the athletes was one of the coolest things that I saw with a lot of these athletes in this particular race. Not the race itself. I mean, the race is a race, but what I liked was this was a midline assault, but at the same time, it was like, okay, well, let's see what sort of athleticism you have when now you can't base your midline stability foundation for your handstand walk. You're going to have to create something brand new on the fly because all that stuff falling apart. Mm-hmm. So you would see these massive C's and these legs kicking all over, not because they were going for speed or whatever, but they're just trying to stay up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the race. It's 11 minutes, but like all of that, you're right. The intensity that was pushed based on the time cap, I mean, just ramped all of this stuff up. I think that the feeling with that 11-minute mark basically was like as if you took the 52 reps of toes to bar and deadlifts and virtually doubled it. Like because of the intensity with that time frame was unreal.
The other thing that I feel like athletes didn't think about, and I didn't really until we watched it happen, is what the grip fatigue would actually do to your handstand walks. Before, right? Where your grip is smoked, but when your grip's smoked, it's because your forearms are so tight you can't use them anymore, and that closes your hands.
Right. That extension is just like it hurts.
You extend your hands open in that position. So the grip fatigue was a big factor in all 3 of these movements.
Yeah, it really was. And then how many people have 150-pound kettlebells running around?
Right.
The way that people, the games athletes that have played with this before, they have an understanding. They kind of know what it feels like and how to maneuver their body with those kettlebells, but it's awkward.
It's awkward.
And so it's not 300 pounds and 212 pounds.
Right.
It's or of barbell work. It's very awkward positioning with your knees clacking and how you're going to walk and how you're going to get it, because you got to move them up to the next spot or move them wherever. Are they going to smash your toes or not smash your toes or whatever they're going to be doing? It's a very different movement. So I will say that even when I went back to look at this one, on paper, I don't like it.
Okay.
As much as once you get into really analyzing it, it makes much more sense. It feels much better. I like the intent of it a lot better than the way it's written. I swear, when I looked at it, I was like, this one is just stupid. But it's really not stupid. When you actually get into it, it's a great event.
Yeah.
It's a great event.
I like it.
And a great way to put some heavy stuff in there.
Exactly, right? So I know we haven't tested a 1 rep max or a heavy whatever yet with a barbell, but you cannot be successful at this event if you are not strong, with endurance, with high skill capacity.
Yeah.
Under fatigue. It tested all of that because look, we say go 52 toes to bar, whatever. 52 kettlebell deadlifts at that weight is not whatever.
Right.
Because if we just said it's 52 deadlifts at 315 and 225, that is not whatever.
Right.
Because we've seen that in the past with only 45 reps coupled with box jumps, or a little bit more with like 21 reps of that. But like with kettlebells, it's so awkward and heavy after all the fatigue you have in your midline with the handstand walk and toes to bar. Like you couldn't fake any of that.
No.
So I like this event. This was that weird skill, strength, midline endurance fatigue test.
Yeah. It really was.
Again, each type of athlete has their thing in here.
Totally.
And if you are a skill-based athlete, right, you're going to be good at some of these. If you're strength-based, you are going to be good at some of these and not others. And if you've checked all your fitness boxes, which is what we're trying to find anyways, you were good at this event and you're better than both of those skilled athletes.
Yeah.
So that was that event 4?
Yeah, that was the end of Saturday.
All right. Ending Saturday, going into Sunday, the start things off. Now, this is where I'm starting to ask questions. We have another 21-15-9, which we'll get to. Right. Muscle ups and single arm overhead squats using the same weight we've had so far. So we now have 3 events that involved an 80 and 55 pound dumbbell, only one of them, which was Friday's 21-15-9 of ring work and overhead dumbbell movements. Now, this 21-15-9, not all 21-15-9s are created equal.
Absolutely not.
And this one is not the same as Friday's event. The time cap's double, right? It's 11 minutes versus 6. That one, it's 45 ring muscle up. This is a muscle up workout.
Yep.
This isn't my favorite. This is probably my least favorite one of the weekend. Partly because it's very similar to event 2. All right, we're doing ring dips. Okay, now we're doing muscle ups. We did dumbbell snatches. Now we're doing overhead squats. All right. So the dumbbell snatch is this full dumbbell movement, ground to overhead. So the ring movement was just the dip. So now we're doing an overhead squat, which is just the squat movement portion. And now we're doing a full body. So it's the opposite of it. But this was the one where there was a clear advantage to one specific athlete.
Yeah, that weight was not heavy enough to stop anybody, depending on your size. You could be 160 pounds and move the 80-pound dumbbell just fine.
Yeah.
And be great on the muscle ups. Or you could be 225 and move the dumbbells great, move it just fine. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm now a 225-pound guy or girl, whichever, that has to get up onto the rings with the muscle up.
Yeah. There was no need for this event. Okay. I was wondering where you're going with
Well, I mean, all of the things that you said, yes, it's flip flopped on the range of motion. Now you have more range of motion for the ring work and less range of motion for the dumbbell work on this one versus the
comparisons are different.
No. And then that was perfect to say that, because then you can do that and say, well, we're not repeating.
Right.
So it definitely the time frame is different. The movements are flip flopped as far as range of motion. The intensity level is going to be different. No, they aren't the same, even though it's 21-15-9, even though it's rings, even though it's a single dumbbell. The two events are completely different, but with all of the events that we've done so far, I don't think we needed to have done this one. Yeah. I just don't think there was no need to do it. And I don't want to say that Dave was trying to be cute. And the other thing that's funny is Dave, maybe this is where it happened. I don't know. But even in the interview that you just had with him, the one with Danielle and Noah, where you guys were talking about the games, he was saying, I don't like to repeat. If I already did a 21-15-9, I don't want to do another one.
Right. And
it seems really weird.
Right.
Like, you don't just all of a sudden go, yeah, I just don't like doing that anymore. That's usually something that you're like in the beginnings of your programness, that you wouldn't do that. I'm curious what it would have looked like if they would have done these movements, but done them with a different patterning. Maybe make this be some sort of a chipper where it's like, God, you know what? Even the overhead squats, we already did single arm lunges. We already did overhead squats, single arm.
Right.
It shouldn't be here. That was a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. I tried.
Yeah.
Tried to work it in there. Couldn't do it.
I mean, the only thing I'm trying to think.
I'll say this. If we didn't have the chipper, then what would have been a cool event on this would be like 100 overhead squats and 20 muscle ups. Remember in the last year's regionals where they did the overhead squat or the wall balls and the pull up ones,
right?
The pull up, something like that, something like that. Then that would have been kind of cool, because then it would be a pure stamina race rather than trying to break it up so that you can sort of have a level of intensity. But again, like I like that idea, but again, we already did single leg lunges. We already did this. There's no need for it.
I'm trying to think of what a different version. What is 12-9-6-3?
12-9 so 18-30.
30.
Yeah, 18 and 12.
Okay, so what if you did 12-9-6-3 of ring muscle ups and overhead squats on each arm? I'm trying not to change it too much, but then you have 30 ring muscle ups, which is a classic benchmarky rep scheme, but you double the overhead squats and you test both arms.
You know what I would say?
What?
Take that out and just make it a 30 muscle up for time race.
Well,
because we already did snatches. We already did walking lunges. We already did an overhead squat, single arm overhead squat. We already did that. There is absolutely no reason to do it again.
You know what? Based off what's coming,
yeah,
I think 30 ring muscle ups for time would have been great.
Yeah.
And fun to watch.
I agree.
Okay. I like that. I like your idea. But yeah, I agree. I don't like this one. Doesn't fit.
Nope.
All right. Event 6. We are sticking with the theme of a fast and furious finale. 30 and 25 cal bike on the assault bike, 20 burpee box jump overs at 30 and 24. Now, the caveat here is that you could actually put your hands on the box as long as your toes hit over. And then 10 sandbag cleans at 150 and 100. Time caps at 6 minutes. The reason why the burpee box jump overs that they allowed you to put your hands on is they wanted you to keep the intensity on the bike.
Yeah.
Because if they just did regular burpee box jump overs, or you couldn't like put your hands down to brace, especially at that height, you wouldn't have pushed the bike because you would have blown your legs out of the water. But now, since you can put your hands down, like you have no excuse. Right? Like now it's like, oh, we're going to do you a favor, which really was no favors whatsoever. And this is where the big boys and the power athletes and girls could shine right from the get-go.
Yeah. Yes. Are you
like
it is a
box jump and
it is amazing how the power output that some of the athletes that we saw, I mean, just for a second, think about how fast you can do 30 or 25 cals on a bike.
Not what some of these people put down.
I mean, we're talking 30 seconds. Dropping it, dropping the hammer on that. And as most of us know, like we get on the bike, and if you push really, really hard, you're great for that first 20 seconds, and then it's like you smash your face into the wall. These athletes were able to do that to where the hands on the burpee box jump over, that saved them. And you're right, like it allowed them to do that. Like they could get after it, and then work that burpee over the box, and use it. Put their hands down and just and they could keep the intensity up, and then they get to the heavy bag, and it was like,
dude,
watching. I mean, the speed that these guys were going.
It was so fun.
It was so good.
It was so fun.
Good. Yeah.
Did they flip their box? Like every
I think they had to, I don't know, maybe 10.
Maybe. Yeah. Halfway through.
Like that.
You end up on one side and you flip it. And then it was like 2 cleans in every square for like 10 feet sections or 5 feet.
Yeah.
And this is where, so you see an event like this, and then you look back at the past one. And yes, that was a muscle up event, which this really did favor the smaller gymnastic oriented athletes. And this one favors the more high intense power athletes. So you do have both sides of the fence being covered here. Just the format of the last event with 21, 15, 9 and the rings and the single dumbbell, which we already did. This is where I like your idea of just 30 ring muscle ups per time. What's the difference?
Right.
Other than it's different than event 2. It's a classic benchmark test that people want to see, and the same results basically are going to come from it, other than it looking just like a remodeled version of something we already did 3 events ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. I love this finale. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
It was, this was one of those ones. I mean, like we've had a lot of Fast and Furious ones. Mm-hmm. But this one, it's like it just left blood on the floor. I mean, like the acid that these guys and girls had to get into. Oh, it was. You knew how bad it hurt, and then you'd watch them go,
right,
and you'd watch how bad they hurt, and it was.
Yeah,
it was a good. It's a great way to finish, especially at the end of the weekend.
Oh, especially with things on the line, trip to the games.
Yeah. And
not often do we say the phrase, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
Where in years past, we've loved the finales. But if you think about the rope climb clean one, which I think that was 2013, There's 4 rounds of 2 rope climbs and 4 cleans at 225 and 155.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
strong and high skilled and work your way through that. That really wasn't like a want to one. You had to have both, right? And then we had the 100 pull or the 64 and 8, the pull-ups and the overhead squats. You still had to be good at pull-ups and strong in a good position for overhead squats. The ring muscle up clean ladder, like you had to have ring muscle ups for 15 and then get strong and be strong at the end. And then what was last year's? It was the legless rope climbs and Fran, right? You could still have not the ability to do this. This one,
there's no technique.
There is no technique. There is no skill. There is no strength bias. This is one of those that
please take your heart out of your chest, set it on the table, and we'll see whose heart is bigger.
Right. That's what I love.
Period.
Like, oh, they have muscle ups, or they're strong, or they have great legless rope climbs or whatever. It's like, no. There's nothing in here that you can't do.
Yeah.
You're not going to get out skilled. You're not going to get out weighted with a bar.
Yeah.
Just
go.
It's your choice. You have to choose how good you want to be at this event.
Oh man.
That's what I loved about this one.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was such a good race.
It was a good race.
And this was it reminds me a lot of the event from the games this year, the snatch and the bike. Mm-hmm. The same type of thing. Like, I mean, you can get picky on techniques for how you're going to move the bar or how you're going to move the sandbag on this particular one, or, which way you decide to do whatever. But in the end, it's just who's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough of any of these pieces to make you say, all right, let me just pace this one.
Right.
I mean, you obviously didn't want to, I know we talked about it during the race. You don't get points for being first off the bike.
Right.
And most of the people that were first off the bike were not first to the end of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to say that there isn't pace. There's always intelligent racing, but it's still like, okay, let's get out the microscope. How close can you ride that line? And then it's, the heart thing for sure. How bad do you want it? But then it's like, how much are you willing to risk?
Right.
Risk big to win big. Yeah. And you had to on this. And a lot of athletes had to, because again, this is the gateway to get you into the games. And so I love the setup for it as well. It's a really good one.
It was good. It was super fun. And that brings us to the end of the weekend. So we had 6 events, 2 every day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And as we look at the overview of the 6, Friday, we had the run with monostructural and the 4 or the 3 bodyweight movements of pull, push, and squat. Then we went to the 21-15-9 sprint, pull from the floor overhead and 1 full range of motion mixed with a press short range of motion down. It's actually the opposite movement direction as well. I thought that was really cool. Mm-hmm. Like I said, 2 minutes versus 20 plus. Then the big chipper of all kinds of movements you could possibly put in there, right around that 12 to 15 minute time frame, which is that classic time frame. We have the handstand walk, toes to bar, heavy kettlebell deadlifts, ascending rep scheme, 10-minute time frame. Everyone was, I would say, well, the 11th cap was 11 minutes, but I think most people weren't that much faster than the cap time.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people got capped there, so we'll just say 10 minutes. The 21-15-9 muscle ups overhead squats. Again, the cap was up to 11, so we still have that same time frame we just had from 4 to 5, but a couplet versus a triplet. And then what we just said with the 30 cal bike, 20 burpee box jump overs, and 10 sandbag cleans. Time cap is 6 minutes. Just a lot of variety, save for the couplet, the 21-15-9 couplets for events 2 and 5. The one thing that is fair is that we didn't have a max weight or a barbell. Now, the way this is all structured, as we said, in at least the first 4 events, is they're all programs giving every skill-based athlete something they'll be good at with a twist to it. so they wouldn't walk away with it. Adding a weight vest to the bodyweight movements in event 1. Making the chipper high volume in event number 3. The core strength, skill, walk, and deadlift strength in event 4. 5, we already talked about how that skews more towards the gymnastics athlete, but 6 also skews more towards the power athlete. So even though we didn't like 5, the balance between 5 and 6 were there. I would say at least on the final day of competition, where the first 4 were all little twists and blends of different tests within the tests overall. Bill, it is your turn to go first.
I was just going to ask you that.
On the Element 26 thumb tape review.
Okay.
So give your little recap and then how you're voting.
I will say that this year was a very interesting year. I would go so far as to say that it was a testing year, not testing the athletes, but testing on what sort of programming should we do, could we do, can we make work?
Okay.
Being the fact that we didn't have any barbells, I think that was, I don't want to say it was a necessary challenge, or if Dave decided that he wanted to do that, whether it was we're going to see if you've handled enough dumbbell work and we're going to test you that way, or if he wanted to see if he could paint the picture using just this particular brush and not the normal barbell brush that he would have used in the past. The way that he was able to work with that, I thought was pretty impressive. I do think that it's a great test overall, or a good test overall, using the different things that they did. I think that the different types, as you said, of athletes were tested. I think they all had their shot. I don't see it aimed towards one athlete over another athlete. I wouldn't consider just your heavy duty strength athlete being an athlete that should be. I'm not a fan of the 1 rep max as a test. I don't think that tests anything. I don't think that should be a gateway for someone that's going to be in the competition for the fittest athletes in the world. They have strongman for that stuff. They have powerlifting for that stuff. So I think, we've talked about this a lot of time on the shows, on all the different shows, that there are different ways to show strength. I think that there is a level of strength that's put in here. 10, 150-pound sandbag cleans at speed under mass duress. Mm-hmm. You need some strength for that. You need to have some stamina for that. You have some power for that. The power output you need on the bike, the deadlifts that you have to do with the dumbbells. So I think the elements are there. I don't like event 5. I don't like the more I think about it, I don't like any part of it. Sure, they could have made it. You could adjust it to fit better using it just with the muscle ups. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But I really don't think that was necessary at all. And as much as I like the individual events, like I love the chipper. I even like the first event. I mean, in reality, I like the pieces individually, and I think that they go together well. But I think that it was a great job for a weird setup, mm-hmm. if that makes sense. Yeah. I don't think that we need to have a test where you don't have a barbell. He chose to do it that way, so it is what it is. So I think if I had to give it a number, what I would say is I'll go 1.5. And that is a very high mark on a weird year. Yeah. I like the individual events. Yes, I think that they go together well, but I think that the platform that it was designed on did not need to be that way. And to do it just because seems like you're putting yourself at a disadvantage just to put yourself at a disadvantage. I'm going to do Murph with 2 left shoes on. Why? Just because you can? That doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't make Murph better. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would go. I don't want to say that the programming is bad. I just don't like the platform that it was on. So individually, there are a lot of events that I really like. Take 5 out. I would go, I say 1.5, and I part of me wants to go a little bit lower than that, but I'll go 1.5 because there are the events that I really do like.
I like what you said about this almost being a test of the test.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not a bad avenue to go down.
Totally.
I mean, of all the tests we've had, I would say this is the most unique year at regionals because of the absence of a barbell. Now, when we say absence of the barbell, we're not saying that just because there's not a bar that it automatically means we needed a heavy test in there. Just to have a whole regionals with no barbell movement, regardless of the weight, volume, reps, or whatever, is odd.
I mean, okay, you could go as far as the idea would be the same. All right, we're going to do this entire regionals in the pool. I mean, you can. I mean, yes. You could do it. You can't. You could do underwater burpees, and you can do dumbbells in the pool, and you can do swimming, you can do whatever. Mm-hmm. You could make great events that all line up on paper with the things that we're looking at doing, but it's like you didn't have to do that though. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean, I just think it put itself, and again, and we've seen Dave do that at the games where it was like, it just looked like this was a test year. He wanted to see if he could do this. Could he make this work? And that's okay. There is nothing wrong with that because that's the way you get better at the test. Okay. Well, sometimes the test is, if we call it the test, testing is experimentation. Mm. So even though you're testing, you're experimenting with the pieces. They're all valid. It just seemed to be in a weird beaker this year. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. And so the way I'm looking at it is like, okay, so you wanted to test a regionals and find your top qualifiers in every region and not use a barbell. Okay. There is a way to do that. I'm also with you on the lines of, I don't like 1 rep maxes in small event settings. So 6 events, I feel if you're going to test a 1 rep max is not enough of a broad test to put in a max, which is why I've liked the ladders, which is why I've liked whether it was 10-2 snatches from the previous year, which was the snatch ladder with the double unders, or the thruster ladder. Like those were tests up to like a maximum lift. But what it took to get there was outside the realm of just pure strength on a one-off test. Now, the things that we don't like in the past was the 3 attempts at a hang squat snatch, or the 2 attempts at a snatch. Like we don't like those tests. And I'm with you. And like I said, especially when you're talking about event number 5, is like, I didn't like that test at all. In fact, that could have been a great opportunity to put a barbell in there.
Yeah.
4 reps, aside from the 21-15 9 rep scheme. And if you still wanted to do overhead squats, then what's wrong with putting a barbell in there at, say, 155 pounds, 21-15 9, 105 and 105 pound overhead squats instead of just the dumbbell, or make it 185 and 135, right? Near double the weight of the single arm that you had. I almost feel like that would completely change the way I view that event in its totality by just putting a barbell in there. But we stuck to the guns of trying something new. Now, that doesn't mean people's strengths weren't tested. We saw that in event 4 with the kettlebell deadlifts. Right there, you had to have some strength to do that. Power is also an indication or marker of strength. You cannot be powerful without that. And we saw that in event 6. So the same athletes that you would probably see doing well in a strength bias event did well in that finale. And those that didn't probably wouldn't fare. So there was that. And I did like the balance of skills and tests that 1 through 4 did. I think overall, though, for me, is I'm going to give it 1.25. I did like the individuals tests, as you said, except for 5. I get trying something new. I don't think anybody that qualified out of this year didn't deserve it, or I'll say this. I probably would have qualified. Because there are no barbells. And yes, there's kettlebell deadlifts, but like those aren't enough to really derail anything that I'm bad at. Right. And so I think some people could have not weaseled. Well, I mean, if I'm putting myself in the category, weaseled their way through to getting or doing well at these regionals, right? So I think the absence of a bar does have a dramatic effect on the complete test that it could have been. So with the absence of the bar, I think that was a missing piece. The event 5, when, one event of the 6 is a total miss. What's the percentage there? 18%? Close to? 6, 16, 17% is a miss. I'm going to give it 1 1/4.
Okay.
1 1/4. 1 1/4 element 26 thumbs tapes up. I don't hate it. I just, I like this better than, because I think I gave the same grade on 2015. I might have given it a 1.
We have to write that down, I think, somewhere.
We should write this down. No.
Okay, no. Hold here on that, because okay, so I said my 1.5.
I don't like
and
it.
I wavered on that. The reason I went 1.5, honestly, and I wanted to go lower, was because
I'm like 1 1/4, but I kind of want to go higher.
No, that's where I was. I was 1.5, and I kind of wanted to go a little bit lower, but there are events in here that I really, really like.
Me too.
But it's the platform that it's on.
Yeah.
For the sake of whatever it is. That's why I went that way. Even though like 5 is out, we already know that.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do a 1 1/4 and a thumbnail, or 1.5 minus a thumbnail, or whatever. But like I think that where we are, I think that what we're saying, we're feeling the same thing.
Okay.
On there, which is totally fine. It's legit, and that's that's okay. We're basing it off of how we're feeling. I think we're putting the same stuff out there with whatever it's a quarter difference or not. It's a unique year. Still some really good stuff in there.
Some great tests.
But almost didn't need to be that.
Yeah.
But again, that's armchair quarterbacking it.
That's true. Okay, I think the blend of our 2 scores is where we both actually want to sit.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, well, that's our review. What's yours? Let us know. Let us know in the comments on our Instagram post. Let us know in our email, officialgwp@gmail.com. If you guys are a Patreon supporter of the show, go to patreon.com/get with the programming. Let us know in the comments when we post things up here. Just hit us up.
Do it.
We'd love to hear your feedback. And we're looking forward to 2018, which, alas, Bill, is the last year of regionals.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. The last year of regionals. And I guess what we'll do after that is, we can do what we did for 2010. Somehow find all the events. Because there was
for the sanctionals.
Sanctionals.
Okay.
How many were there that year?
Hated that word.
Yes, you did.
Man, sanctionals.
10? Were there 10? Or more?
Oh, that year.
That year, 2019.
12? Something like that. A lot.
I mean,
not as many as 20.
Not as many as there was in 2010.
Right.
As far as different regionals going on, there's 17 then.
Yeah.
So let's say we can go through the events, and then we can do a programmatron show of our standardized.
Oh, pulling from all of them.
Yeah, pulling from all of them.
Okay.
And we'll do the same thing for 2020 because we still had a few sanctioned events happen in 2020.
Yeah.
Before shit hit
it all got shut down. Yeah.
Because the sanctioned events for 2020 really started in 2019.
That's
right after the Open.
That's right.
The Filthy 150, you had Strength and Depth, you had the Brazil CrossFit Championship, you had Asia, like you still had a few things go down. Dubai, Norway, Wadapalooza, no. That's right when things started.
Wadapalooza, yes.
2020.
I went Norway to Wadapalooza on that one. That's right.
I missed Wadapalooza because somehow my wife and I like to schedule the births of our children
right on
Wadapalooza. during Wadapalooza. So that's what we'll do. So we got 2018 coming up. 2019 and 2020, we'll go through all the sanctioned events themselves, and then we'll do a Programmatron episode for those of you that support us on Patreon and do a standardized programming. Bill will do his, I'll do mine, and we'll agree on the number that we want to do.
Cool.
We'll do that for 19 and 20. And then there's another mega episode we have to do. Greatest regional event of all time.
Oh man, that's going to be a good one.
That will be fun. I feel like people are going to get feelings hurt. Because in the games, we're like, whatever. It's the games. Like regionals is a very passionate group of people.
It's a passionate group of people. This is the other thing. I don't think that there's the same spectatory feels. Yeah. That you have connected to regionals. It's about that event. Because it was badass, not because I just love watching Josh and Rich shake hands and slap each other's chest bump. It's awesome. The lights of the stadium. It's like, no, this was just straight up this race is better than that race.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. So that'll be a good one. That'll be a really good one.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. That will do it for us for the 2017 regionals. Things we also have coming up in the show. We're going to talk about the Live Move work.
Yeah.
That will be, I guess we can start next week.
Yeah, because I think they do it next week, right? 21st.
Registration is open for that. We'll go through that. I guess we'll do that next week.
Yeah.
Leading up to it. So we'll release that early next week. I'm going to do it.
Are you? Cool.
Yeah, we're I'm going to do it. I'm going to have the gym program it. We'll do it on a Friday. We'll do a little Friday nights thing.
Yeah.
You can do it in a class time, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll do something fun. But yeah, we'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about, we talked about this Programmatron episode idea is events they'll never program at the CrossFit Games.
Here's one right now that I'm going to throw out. You ready?
Yeah.
What does Dave Castro do every time when he gets people together at the ranch? There was a big, massive one after the 2020 games, the 2019 games. This event.
Oh,
the shootout. Yeah, knockout. Could you imagine if the games athletes had to do knockout?
That would be great.
It could be totally set up that way to be done. Everyone just gets in line. Just get in line and you start doing your shots.
What you could do is you could have Rogue build this like super industrial hoop that you have to shoot a 30-pound wall ball into.
It would be almost like a Hoover ball, but knockout style.
Hoover ball. Those of you that are probably started CrossFit after 2010 have no idea how awesome Hoover ball is.
I used to do that with my firefighters out on the beach, like our last day of the year.
Dude, I have never lost Hoover ball.
It's so fun.
Ever.
It's so fun.
Undefeated.
Look at you.
You know, got some skills, bro. Some athleticism is slipping in the bones. Of course, that was like, again, 10 years ago. So I don't know how good I am at it now. Hoover ball. If you guys don't know Hoover ball, we'll talk about Hoover ball on the beginning of our next episode.
Okay.
explain the rules and how you're missing out if you have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But other than that, guys, thanks for listening to the show. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, let us know your thoughts and feelings on how this year was. 2018 will be next, and then we'll have some mega episodes coming up. We have to get Tommy. Why did I call him Tom?
Tom and Shawnee. Thomas and Shawnee.
Sean and Tommy. I think that's what I did. I mixed names up, but one name actually still fit. Sean and Tommy. Because I was like, Tom and Shawnee. That's
Tom and Shawnee.
Tom and Shawnee. Try to get that Talking Elite Fitness guys on the show. We'll do a mega knockout bracket of the open and of regional. So we got some fun episodes we have coming up that we will be interacting with you guys with. Other than that, I'm Chase Ingham, Bill Grundler. Hope you have a great weekend, sir.
Bye-bye.
The YouTube sensation.
Yeah, we'll see.
That is Marketers with Joe. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Later, everyone.